What's up, everyone? Shane Reinhardt here with Reinhardt's Four Seasons. Today, we're going to give you a little walk around and a comparison of the Z-Spray machine. So we have a 2019 model on my left here, or your right, and a 2022 model on my other side. So there hasn't been too much change with the machines, little things that we'll go over. The 2019 model that we have here, this was back when Z-Spray was owned by LT Rich. Since then, they had been bought out by Toro, and that is who is producing this version nowadays. So a lot of the stuff is the same, a couple small changes. The booms, those are the same. These guys flip out, so you can cover like a 6.5 foot swath or 8, I can't remember exactly how many feet it is off the top of my head. So there are nozzles under here that you want to clean out on occasion. You run, thousands and thousands of gallons through there. You want to make sure that those filters stay clean so that doesn't affect your spray pattern. Coming up this way, we have our hopper that there are these separator trays in, and if you ever get a bag of fertilizer that had gotten some condensation in it, moisture, these trays will allow the good stuff to fall through and catch those clumps so that it doesn't mess up the agitation system of your machine. Again, both machines are very similar in that regards so far. As you come around, these are both intermediate models, so they have the two 15-gallon tanks, 15 gallons here, 15 gallons on the other. You can run them together, or you can isolate them if you want to have a different product in one versus the other. So based on whatever it is that you're applying, it's nice to just have that availability of two different systems to be able to open and close them on the spot. Come back around, you do have a 75-foot hose reel, I believe, so if you have some tight fenced-in areas or just steep areas where you're not comfortable taking the machine on, you can simply unwind this and hook it up to whatever tank you want and apply it as necessary without putting yourself in danger. There's a nice little carrying tray here. We don't really use this a whole lot unless I'm on a big property. You might throw an extra bag of fertilizer on there, but other than that, this doesn't get used too much. Maybe throw some flags in or something like that. On this side, this is an add-on that we have on both machines. This is a 7-gallon auxiliary tank. So this is where we'll put a secondary or third chemical, depending on what application we're doing. There's a few different ones that we like to have. We're not spraying, in the masses, but it's for us, either a crabgrass post-emergent spray that we might put in here, or just a stronger herbicide for some of those problem weeds that our broad spectrum spray doesn't work too fast with. So it's a good way for us to stay efficient, because otherwise if you don't have this and you do need to use some of that stronger chemical stuff, you end up wasting a lot of it on a whole property when really one little area of that property might only need that specific chemical. So it's a way for us to not be wasteful of any products and only use what's necessary. Now, up top here, this is the area, the rider's area, the driver's seat of the machines that is a little bit different, and we can show you some snapshots of those. But really, the cable controls and chute controls, those are all right up top here on this older machine, and this is what myself and the other applicators have gotten used to over the past few years. This is our knob that we use to control our platter speed. We won't geek out too much on this stuff. A lot of you probably won't know what that does anyway. But a couple other switches and levers here. It seems super intimidating, and it actually isn't. But when we first bought our first machine, 5 years ago or whatever it was, I didn't buy, or maybe it was more than that, it must have been 7 years ago. I didn't buy this at first because this machine intimidated the crap out of us. Bought a different one, ran it for a couple years. It was slower, smaller, didn't have the volume capacities on it. So then we gave this a shot, and after a week on it, I was like, man, we just wasted 2 years of not running this. It's a little intimidating at first, but once you get used to it, man, these are some slick machines. On the other one, it'll be a little bit different. So the differences are just the location of the cable controls. They're a little bit more off to the right-hand side versus up top here. The the colors of the metal. Like that's not a big deal, but that's changed a bit. The other, noticeable thing is the standing platform. This one seems to have a bit more suspension in it, and also you can see how it's got all of these holes drilled in it, and this has been like pressed in a way so you actually have some traction. On the older machine, there used to be some grip tape on there, which we've had to replace a few times, and the suspension wasn't too great. So I haven't actually opened it up to see if the suspension changed at all, but just by standing on one versus the other, there's a noticeable difference, and not having to deal with that grip tape has been pretty convenient, to say. I would say the last change that we've noticed is the knobs or the levers, or the valves, I should say, for all these different lines. This is the older machine. They're a little bigger, bulkier. You have the chance of catching these on tree limbs or, I don't know, other things that could grab and snag. They switched to a smaller valve on this newer machine, which just help kind of keep those things out of your way, or a problem for getting snagged. So I would say that those are the biggest differences that you're going to see are the valves, the foot placement, or the standing support there, and the levers. Other than that, the machines are pretty darn similar from our understanding. They both have a Vanguard engine, which these are the only machines that we own that have those, and I'm a fan of them. They seem to run really smooth for us. That machine over there has, I want to say, around 11 or 1,200 hours on it, and it still runs beautifully. This one has 22 and a half hours on it, and it's pretty smooth. So it's cool to see where engines have come, even if it's the same manufacturer over the past 5 years. But other than that, these are what allow us to do a lot of fertilizing and a lot of spraying. So you can do granular, which goes in here, and liquid applications, which come out of the tanks. If you haven't checked out our video on our actual setup, so our truck, our trailer, how we keep our water tanks and our granular bags stored or in transport, go check that out. We got a video out that kind of walks through that side of things. So hope you either enjoyed or learned something from this. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.